Hi there, Libra. I'm EllaAradia, and welcome to your June 2026 Psychic Tarot reading. This reading is for my Libra air signs, where we'll be exploring the overall energies and themes for the month ahead, as well as taking a deeper dive into how these might be playing out for you in your life. This is a general reading, so it's not going to resonate for all of you, but what I do find is there's always a shared theme that runs through the collective of all of you Libra signs. So it may show up in different areas of your life in slightly different ways, but the theme is always the same. So take what feels aligned to you and just leave the rest. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoyed this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Libra, let's jump in. I always like to tune in first before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I like to see what the universe shows me. I was already getting some impressions before I started. I feel like there is a need to trust your intuition on something, but in order to do that, it feels like there is a truth that needs to be faced. And it feels like some of you are avoiding that because in order to, face the reality of something or to face a truth, it often means change. And that's where I'm feeling a little bit of fear that might be holding you back. It's almost this energy of, if I face the reality of this, that means I might need to let someone go, let something go, move on. And this fear that I keep feeling of, well, where does that leave me? Who do I become, without that person? Because what I'm feeling here is a strong energy of, feeling undervalued, underappreciated in some way. And some lessons this month around, stopping to negotiate with your time, your energy, your love. With your overall energies, we have the Eight of Cups, which often represents moving on from something which is not emotionally fulfilling. That could be you moving on. This could be, the person that you're connected with leaving your life. But, it's some kind of emotional departure, and it really does represent moving on from something which is no longer fulfilling and moving towards something that is. What lies in your recent past is the Devil. Your current energies, the Three of Cups. It's interesting because I was feeling some kind of third-party energy. Like I was saying, before I even started the reading, I was starting to get, some impressions that were coming through, particularly in terms of love, that some of you may have an intuition here about a third-party energy. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's a romantic one. Sometimes a third-party energy can be a family member. It can be someone's job or career that's just really impacting the connection. But we have the Devil here. And to me, I feel like this is someone who is pretty self-focused. I do feel like this is someone with a strong, career focus, which might be taking a lot of their time. But it feels like someone who is not giving you the commitment that you're really wanting. They're not honoring the connection somehow. And then we have the Three of Cups, current energies. And often a card, traditionally of, family, friends, social gatherings, social life, getting together, being around people that, really lift your energies up. But there's also three cups in the image, which can represent three cups of love. And with the devil there, this is all about, you know, toxic patterns, behaviors, obsessions, addictions, behaviors which, you know, might be holding you back also. But I actually feel like this is the person that you're dealing with here. And, you know, because there's a very dishonest feeling that I was picking up earlier of, you know, somebody who isn't being completely open and honest with you. I get the sense of things being hidden. And that's why there is this strong call, I feel, to really trust your intuition on this. But I feel like some of you might be avoiding, you know, facing the truth here. Because I feel like you're dealing with someone who perhaps isn't honest in love. They may bring other things to the table, you know, because it does feel like, you know, there is a sense somehow of it giving you something, you know, being in this connection. There's a physical presence. There's a sense of, you know, having a partner. There's someone there. But the person you're dealing with isn't fully stepping up, and it feels like it's a lot of their needs being met, but not so much yours. And it feels to me like a little bit of a trauma bond. And I always say this, you know, always go back to your past, go back to your childhood. And you'll probably find there is a lot of feelings that you have now in this situation that you can relate back to childhood. Maybe, you know, more subtle. But I think you'll find that if you tune into it, because there's something that feels like there's someone there, but they're at a distance. They're not fully emotionally available for you. And I do feel like you're dealing with someone here with a little bit of a deceptive heart, not fully honest in love. Someone who's maybe not really ready to commit, but they do enough to kind of keep you there. It's a kind of a breadcrumb energy that I'm feeling here. Your feelings towards your situation, the Four of Swords. Feels like someone's taken a step back, because we've got the Eight of Cups as the overall energies. That represents, you know, moving on, someone leaving your life, you moving on. Four of Swords, I often call this the no contact cards. Closing down, taking a step back, shutting off, taking a pause. To just be still, and in doing that, regaining your energy, but also getting in touch with your true feelings here. In the challenge, we have the Eight of Swords. This is a very stuck energy. This often represents a kind of mental prison where we get very caught up in perhaps negative thoughts, negative beliefs, limiting beliefs, which, you know, might be holding you back in some way. Holding you back, I feel, from really facing the truth and facing whatever change that brings. Like the figure in the card that's blindfolded, there's something that perhaps you're not wanting to see. I feel like this person came in, you know, very charismatic, said all the right things initially, did all the right things initially, but as time has passed, it feels like these behaviors have started to surface. And so you're in there, I feel, very open-hearted. I feel like you've seen the potential with this person. You've had them down as, you know, potentially a long-term partner. Some of you may have even fallen in love. Feels like there was a great physical connection, but what's missing is that deeper emotional connection, emotional support, and a reciprocal connection where your needs are being met in this as well, because it feels like you're not being prioritized to me. It's almost like, there's always a reason why, it has to be when they want, on their terms, what they want to do, when they have time. And I just get this sense of you kind of feeling a little bit like you are kind of left out in the cold and not honored, not appreciated and valued. But at the same time, there's a little inner child in there, which is keeping you stuck, keeping you in something which is unhealthy, perhaps longer than you should be, because it's familiar and it's what we know, and we tend to create what feels familiar. It doesn't always mean, that there has to be, a trauma in childhood. It just can be quite simply a parent who didn't show us love in the way that we needed it to be shown. Sometimes it can be a parent that was a little bit absent. And so they're there, but they're not fully present. They're not fully available. And that can bring up and create certain beliefs when we're young. The inner child interprets these situations very differently, and it tends to translate as, I'm unlovable, I'm not enough, I'm not valued, I'm unlovable, things like that. And of course, now when we get older, we can understand things more easily because we have more wisdom, we have more awareness in that sense, but not when we're young. And we're often forming these definitions of what love is when we're young, and we tend to recreate what we know. And this feels like a lesson to me. It feels like a trauma bond. And there's a fear to face the truth, to step into those soul lessons of loving yourself, knowing your value. That's always been the lesson. It still is the lesson. And so whatever you're not getting from this person, it's actually mirroring the relationship you're having with yourself and what you are not, giving to yourself in that sense. And that's what you need to step into. And ask the universe to show you what will really happen when you step into a place of self-love, value, and worth. Because what will really happen is the outside will start to mirror that back to you, rather than the experience that you're having now. So there's a little bit of fear, there's a little bit of insecurity here around facing the truth of this situation. Where you're dealing with someone here who isn't ready. They're not ready for a mature relationship. They're not ready to meet you, where you want them to meet you. And really, they're playing a role for you to learn these soul lessons of stepping into your worth. Like I said at the beginning, it's a month to stop negotiating your time, your love, your energy, your heart even. Because the hidden influence here is the world, an upgrade. This is a card of graduation, of things moving to a next level. But in order for that to happen, we need to resolve our own negative patterns, our own past traumas. It involves growth and evolving inside of ourselves. And you absolutely do have the power to do that. So in terms of this meaning something for you, this is an invitation to integrate your shadow, to integrate, any negative patterns, beliefs, anything that's limiting you, holding you back from being more of who you really are, reaching your potential, having what you really do want in a partner in life. And, there may have been some conflict. You may be in no contact right now with that Four of Swords and the Eight of Cups, that person that's kind of, moving on. But in order for things to change, there needs to be some significant kind of learning here, particularly with the person that you're dealing with. I feel like their heart's very guarded. I feel like they've had a trauma in their past. They've had a heartbreak, a loss. And to step into something with more depth and intimacy, I feel is quite a challenge. There's a fear to open their heart. And, it does feel like a soulmate bond. And very often with these, soulmate connections, we have very powerful lessons that we're learning. So you'll have those lessons, and the person that you're dealing with, there's a big invitation for them also to heal the traumas of their past. But I just feel like you're dealing with someone who just really isn't ready to even go there yet. And so certain behaviors, this is what happens when we have unhealed patterns. We tend to get these certain distorted behaviors that play out, that wouldn't play out if we really worked on our stuff. And that's what you're dealing with this person. And, if it's not another connection that's going on behind your back, it may be, that they're using career or work. Like, I'm super busy, I've got so much to do, my main focus is work, I don't have time, and it just feels like it's their protection, it's their guard around not allowing things to get to a point where they have to open up more and be vulnerable and be seen. And in doing so, actually face, some of their wounds from their past there. Let's see what your advice is. The advice is the Page of Cups. Some kind of new beginning, a new emotional beginning, a new offer of love. Perhaps keeping your heart open to that possibility, because when I feel the energies of this card, it really feels like something healthy. Like, the possibility of a healthy love and staying true to what you really want, what you really deserve. In your outcome, we have the Queen of Cups. And, always remember that it can be either gender here, but I really feel that this is all a lesson. And the sooner you can be brave and, really face these truths and the reality of what's going on here. And not only that, but have a deeper look at what is the cost to you of staying in this. Because I feel like you're dealing with someone who isn't ready to change. Doesn't mean they never will be. But you can't wait forever for somebody. And I do strongly get a sense this person is more of a lesson than a life partner. And if you can really be brave, step into these lessons, embody them, then that will allow you then to attract in the kind of person that you do really want. And in your outcome, you will have that. Some new offer of love, Page of Cups, Queen of Cups, and something that feels healthy to me. So I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, Libra, and I wish you a great month ahead.